The simple fact is you have to be a moron not to observe now that immigration in effect has become an invasion. That the free movement of labour actually means millions and millions of people coming in from third world nations. And in some cases, by the way, they're not even economic migrants. In some cases, as in Mexico, in America, many of these people are quite consciously invaders. They actually see they're travelling into these areas as reclaiming their lands, ancestral lands, back from the Yankee invader. This is in fact therefore a counter-invasion, so to speak. But even when the motives are primarily economic, and after all, who can blame peasants and the poor from the third world from wanting to come to a better country? The simple fact is that what this means is an influx of huge numbers of people who are, in fact, not acclimatised to, and in many respects are positively hostile to, liberal civilization, liberal values. In some cases, as with the Muslims, it can be quite consciously, ideologically so. The Muslims, insofar as they are Muslims, and they actually adhere to the doctrines of their religion, do not support the temporal power of non-Muslim rulers and seek to create a new caliphate, a new Muslim, sort of transnational Muslim power. And of course we're seeing this enacted in the bombings and violence that Muslims are organising throughout the world. But even when these views aren't consciously hostile, nevertheless that the internalised mores, family structures, beliefs, value systems of the immigrants are hostile to liberal civilization. And this is worsened by the effect. You might argue that if they were actually coming into a free market society where there was either minimal government or no government at all, and where there wasn't an enemy class trying to destroy our civilization, you might say that these people would probably be assimilated quickly. Well, that's merely speculative, and the fact is we are not in, and are not likely to be in for any appreciable space of time, a free market society.
Yes,
these people are coming to a society which is governed by a ruling class which is consciously trying to destroy liberal values and liberal civilizations, which uses the so-called multiracialism or anti-racialism banner to actually attack Western civilization and free markets and individualism per se. These groups become balkanized, racially balkanized political groups which are manipulated. Their votes are delivered by big men in their community to whichever party promises them the most or bribes them the most. We're balkanizing our society with people who are implicitly and explicitly hostile to it. In other words, I see a difference between free migration of people committed to liberal values and an invasion by people who are hostile to liberal values. I mean, I think that perhaps is simply how one can make the distinction. And this is simply an act of, well, I would say national suicide. It's actually an act of national murder which is being done now upon Western civilization. And indeed, I don't think it's an accident. I think it's quite self-conscious. I think you can look at the writings and what's happening, and these people are quite aware of what they're doing.